Hi everyone. For the HPLC lab, each group is a group of 5, and we have 5 samples to prepare. So each person will prepare their own sample in duplicate. So for example, I have decaf here. So you will prepare decaf in 2 replicates. So to prepare this one, follow the lab addendum. So that first involves the dilution step. So this, for decaf, you will pipette 2 mils of the coffee and then 2 milliliters of the DDW to dilute. So I will do that here. So that's 1 milliliter. And then we're doing this in duplicate, so I will do the second one right away. You will dilute using DDW. So 2 milliliters of coffee plus 2 milliliters of water, that's a 4 times dilution because there's 4 milliliters of total volume and then 2 milliliters of the starting liquid. So then 2 milliliters of water in each, but this is different for each sample that you prepare. Okay, so after you dilute, you will vortex the sample to make sure that it's thoroughly mixed. So put this on. So you want to get a good vortex on the sample and vortex for a few seconds. Next, you will filter the sample. To do this, you use these syringes that are like individually packaged. So you'll screw off the cap, take the syringe. Okay, so once you have your syringe removed from the packaging, you'll take the plunger out. Then you will attach one of the filters here. So the filter will remove any particulates that could affect the separation of your compounds or damage the column. So this is a really important step. So once you have the filter attached, you'll take one of your vials that's labeled with your group name, the sample, and the replicate. So here I have group A, decaf, and 1. So take the cap off, place the filter on the top, so we will filter directly into the vial. So then you will take a transfer pipette with your sample that's been vortexed. And then you will transfer about 1 milliliter and then use the plunger to press the sample through the filter and into the vial. There you go. Then you will cap it, and then I think we'll be collecting these in some main area in the lab so that we can go run them separately outside of class on the HPLC. Okay, so the dairy coffee sample will be prepared using an enzyme, which is pepsin, to digest the protein that's present in this specific sample. The dairy coffee is the only sample that contains proteins because of the presence of milk. So we need to digest the protein because caffeine will interact with the protein, and this step will help to release the caffeine. If we didn't digest the protein, we would underestimate the caffeine count. So first we will pipette 0.6 mils of the pepsin in 0.1 normal hydrochloric acid. Now this is in hydrochloric acid because pepsin is most active in an acidic environment. Again, do this in duplicate but for the sake of this video, I'll just prepare one replicate. And then next you will pipette 200 microliters of the dairy coffee. So I'm just adjusting the pipette. So you will take 200 microliters, put in the test tube with the pepsin. You will then vortex the pepsin and coffee sample to make sure it's thoroughly mixed for just a few seconds. And then incubate at 37 degrees C for 20 minutes because this is the optimum temperature of pepsin. After incubation, you will add 800 microliters of 2% acetic acid to the incubated sample. This is a 1-to-1 volume ratio. The acetic acid will increase the pH, making pepsin ineffective. So then vortex after you've added the acetic acid. And then you will transfer 1 milliliter of the sample into a microcentrifuge tube to then centrifuge. So I have 1 milliliter. And label your microcentrifuge tubes with the replicate, so 1 or 2. You will then transfer to a balanced centrifuge to centrifuge and remove the precipitate. TA will help you with the centrifuging step. So after centrifuging, you will dilute the digested coffee sample by a factor of 8. Follow the procedure that you did with the other samples to dilute and filter into a vial for the HPLC. So after centrifuging, you'll notice that there's a protein precipitate that will float on the top. So when you sample this, when you take this sample to dilute, just make sure that you are avoiding the precipitate on top and rather taking the sample at the bottom of the microcentrifuge tube.